So today what we're going to do is first welcome, which I think I've done, to briefly review what an EE video is to get us all centered on the same goals, and then have a little working session about how to craft questions that allow us to target the goals that we have. Okay, so the goals of these ecosystem videos, these 3-minute videos, are to help undergraduate students improve their observation skills, their communication skills, and to help them figure out how to link evidence to general concepts in ecology. The second thing I wanted to point out is that this is all skills-based. It's not knowledge-based. And that's the sort of the rub in trying to come up with the questions, is that you're trying to teach these skills by asking questions about the video. What is the experience? I think one of the first things when we're trying to develop these questions is to really think about who our audience is. What is the experience that the students are getting? So they go to that web page and the student gets two things. They get a video, which that orientation and the branding and the walkthrough, sort of a point of view walkthrough. But the explorer's guide that they get is just a list of questions. It has no timestamps in it. And so I wanted to just give you an example. This is an example of an explorer's guide. It has a brief introduction about what it is. It has a link to the video, and then it has a list of questions that don't say anything about at timestamp 1 minute and 20 seconds, can you see blah, blah, blah. It's really, we expect those students to watch it. It's only a 3-minute video, watch it 5 times to try to find the things. It's kind of that scavenger hunt thing, like, you know, what I'm looking for evidence of something. What might I see that is, you know, like that evidence? Okay, so, oh, and then the point I wanted to make about the unannotated video is it's a personal journey. You're with this guide that is helping you look at different things in your environment, but there's also this feeling of a point of view continuity. You land on Earth and now you're going to move around. It's not like you're jumping here, jumping there. Here's information. You know, you need to kind of know where you are. You're the explorer. So we really like that there's some kind of continuity within the video. When when the video starts, you're on the Earth. It's a journey, a personal journey. So you're saying, I'm on the Earth. Oh, here I am. I know where I am on the Earth. Oh, look, I'm at a field station. Oh, here I am. Boom. Your boots, like boots on the ground. You've landed at this place. And now the feeling is, what can I see here? So you don't want to be suddenly ripped out of there. You want to have the movement and the point of view shot, that experience of being there. So, for example, if you were going to give a sort of a Socratic method tour to somebody, you're there with them personally, and you're walking along and you're saying, oh, can you see this? Can you see that? You wouldn't just suddenly jump them, you know, you'd walk with them through that habitat. That's what the continuity is about. So then the other thing is that I think some things have been a little bit confusing because we've had such a quick startup and we've been trying to get these things out. We don't have the perfect format yet, is that there's this video guide that all of the field stations are making, right? And the explorer's guide questions will be extracted from that video guide. But the video guide has all these additional things that are in it. Students never see this. The faculty see it. They might, if they want to, make it available to their students, but this is the video guide that we're all familiar with and trying to fill in for our video. So once you make a video, you go through this. For those who haven't done this yet, you know, you say all the contact information, the location and environment. This is all important, the information you give us, because it makes it searchable. It goes into the library and you can search by tropics or whatever, you know, whatever you want, any of these fields. And then you go down here and here's the timestamp, right? At this point in the video, there's this concept. These concepts are all linked to the 4-dimensional ecological education concepts, the 4DEE. Here's a concept. Here's a topic that I can show in the video about this concept. Here's the evidence that's in the video about that concept. Here is a short, interesting story. Here's a subtext. So there's all this other stuff that's in here. And I'm not going to go into it now, but I wanted to just have that in your mind that, oh, there's this very detailed spreadsheet of all this kinds of information that people fill in about things that are in the video that the student will never see. So as you're crafting these pre-video questions for the students, remember that. You're thinking about the whole video from their, you know, experience. Okay. So that's where the timestamps occur. Okay. There's also, which we have not, we're not going to dwell on in this workshop, is remember there's also another version of this video where you do use the timestamp to write in a subtitle that goes in the video. So that is like an answer key, kind of, ideally, so that after the students do their own exploration, if this is sort of an asynchronous thing that the faculty want to just say, yeah, you can do this on your own, then you give them this annotated video that they can then watch and learn more about the environment. Okay, so what we're really focused on today is the questions. How do we make the questions really target our educational goals? Okay, pre-video questions. Audience, general approach, and then our goals. Or how do we link our questions to observation, communication, and linking evidence to concepts? Those are our 3 goals. Okay, so first, the audience. Oh, before the audience, just a note that everything that's in these video sheets, the subtitles, the evidence, the interesting stories, the question, they're all linked to this concept and topic. So it's not that you, one column is just for, oh, I can add a bunch of natural history information in here. It's really, it should be targeted, the information you provide, to the concept and topic that you're trying, what you're trying to get the student to focus on. Okay, so audience. Our audience for this suite of questions, not for all, we might do something with K-12 and we could do all sorts of other stuff, but this is our audience, undergraduates who grew up in a city with no outdoor experience. So we want these to be applicable for any undergraduate that comes in. And in particular, we're also thinking about groups that they're underserved in the sense they don't have the opportunities to get out. So we want to reach those students and give them that kind of feeling and experience. Assume that they're going to need guidance on how to observe. It's really interesting how we forget how much a skill it is to just sit and notice things or look in with a detailed focused way. So assume that they do need some help to develop those skills. That's what we're trying to teach, is how can you observe things in this video. Assume that they need guidance on how to make an observation, how to record. So this is a whole exercise that we've all learned at the universities about how to write in a detailed way that really describes what you're seeing, or how to make a rough sketch or drawing that allows you to label something that communicates. And then the third one is they need guidance on linking evidence and concepts. Okay, and also assume that they're straight out of high school and they don't have any specialized language or background information. Okay, so the general approach. So even if you've made a video or if you haven't made a video, this first line is, I want to just go through some of these. It does not have to be a video in which you're going to document everything that's in the video. This is a video where you're going to choose 5 to 8 concepts, something like that. Not even 10. You're just going to say, okay, look, this is going to be a video that has some stuff about ecotones, stuff about leaf adaptation, stuff about whatever. But the way you choose those concepts is you got to think about your habitat. Where am I? Why does this site, why does this ecosystem look different than somebody else's ecosystem at another research station? So if I'm in oak woodland, it's not so much about walking through oak woodland and saying, oh, look, here's a black oak. Black oaks have blah, blah, blah. Those are the kinds of things that we usually do when we give tours. And so it's really easy to fall into that. But to just spend a little time thinking, if somebody came here, what would I want them to know about this site? Oh, I really should tell them about our climate, that we have these long summer droughts and these crazy wet, warm winters. So what kind of evidence can I show within this habitat of those things? Oh, so I might want to show drought adaptations. I might want to show erosion during the winter. I might want to talk about diversity and how, or show something about how oak trees are a keystone species for biodiversity in the system. So you just say, what are those big chunks? Or is it glaciation that has really made, scraped away the soils and whatever it is? So just choose a few and say, these are really big issues. Now, what is it within what do I show? What can I show that's evidence of those things? That should help you focus on it. And you can make a video that's only about fire, for example, if you wanted to, different aspects of fire, multi-evidence. Or you could make a video that had a bunch of different kinds of evidence in it. Either way, it's fine. I don't want to give the impression this is really rigid. There's a lot of movement and, a lot of variability in how you go about it. So don't worry Don't worry too much about this, but I think this is a good approach for where to start. And even if you've already done a video, how to think about what questions to ask within your video. Okay, so the don't for that one is don't try to identify everything in the video or give a natural history tour. What I've been noticing is that some people have been like, they go back through the video and they get really excited. Oh, look, you can see right in the corner over there, you can see a blah, blah, blah. I'm going to put that, ask a question about that. But really what you want to do is on line 2 here, you want to ask about things that you stop to focus on during the video, right? If you as the guide behind the video have now stopped and looked at something, that's what, you should be asking questions about that, because it is an important role as a guide and a teacher to show people things within within the video. So you don't ask questions about things that are out of focus or off the screen or something. And then, like I was saying before, you're going to help students observe form, color, structure, and sound. It's the things you can see in the video. You're not going to be talking about smell because that's not in the video. So you're not trying to teach students to identify species either. It's about these broad processes. So that's another kind of video that, of course, could be really interesting for your site, but not this project. And then, no, let me drop down to the bottom. Remember to ask open-ended questions instead of yes/no questions. Can you find a leaf shaped like a heart? Yes. You want them, you're trying to help them to develop their observation and writing and communication skills. Okay, and then the last one, Ben, these are both from Ben and me. Ben really pointed this one out, that there are great ways to help students search for evidence, almost like a scavenger hunt. And you can do that. You can think about it this way, that let's say you wanted to show an ecotonal boundary. Well, there's just one in your video, and you're going to be trying to draw their attention to that as a question surrounding something about shrubland adjacent to woodland, something like that. However, you can also have one video which you want to just focus on plant adaptations to drought. And you could have 3 or 4 different things that are in that video that you're going to lead the students to take a look at and ask questions in a way that's going to encourage them to think about it. Okay. Any questions now? I'm going to go on to these 3 questions, how to craft a question about an observation. And don't worry, at the end, we simplify all this down to just a few questions for looking, I'm just trying to get across the concepts now, so don't worry about the details. Does that all make sense? Okay. So the final 3 things. How is it we go about crafting a question that helps students to learn to observe? So the first thing is you have to draw the students' attention to what they can see or hear in the video. So one mistake that people do is they say, oh, well, I had a shot, I had a north-facing slope and a south-facing slope. And so I'll ask them a question about why there's trees on the north-facing slope and shrubs on the south-facing slope. But when you look at the video, all you can see is that one slope's greener, one slope's yellower. So you have to be really aware of what it's like for somebody else to come in and have no knowledge of that site. So make sure that you can ask a question about that, but you have to give them enough information and ask the question in a certain way that it's observable. Okay, and then the second one is remember that you need to give them information sometimes to help them make an observation. So for the example I have here is, tell them that the background information is that if the leaf is larger, it has a greater ability to intercept sunlight. So you get them thinking about, oh, now I want to see, are there big leaves or small leaves in this habitat, right? Because now they know why they're looking, what the context is for trying to observe. So that one of the other things that happens sometimes is people just ask questions like, as though they've already had a class. So how did Native Americans use this plant? Or what does this species eat? Or what is this species? So it's, remember that the students, if they're students in Maine, they might not really be interested in learning the species that are in California. So you're teaching to a national audience. They're more interested in examples of processes than they are in identifying. Anything about that? Anything about observation? Okay. So communication. I didn't fill in the don'ts on some of these. They were just, the opposite of the do's. So communication. Students, you ask somebody, when I was that age as well, I have this in a sentence. God, it is an art to figure out how many words you need, how many words you don't need, what you need to focus on, what will somebody else be thinking when they see it. So it's really helpful to let the students know what an appropriate level of documentation is. Like, make a drawing of the body shapes of the fish in this video. So that's great. It's not just make a drawing of fish. It's saying focus on the body shape, because that's what's interesting here. Label them, and then after you get them to do that process of trying to describe something, and they really take that time, then you can ask a follow-up question about, what do you think would the boxy shaped fish be able to swim as fast as the streamlined fish? You can do a follow-up question that really gets at the functional morphology and adaptations or niche, separation, or whatever you're leading towards. Also, now and then, these don't have to be on every question, but now and then help them understand why communication is important. And if they're just thinking, oh, it doesn't matter, I'm just going to write this down and I'll remember what this meant. But point out to them that there might be real reasons to communicate well about how to identify things. So this plant's poisonous. That's one way to get in, like, some natural history information. Write a detailed description or label drawings or label drawings on an image that someone could use to identify this plant from all the other plants in the video. Now suddenly it's a challenge about, geez, how would I go about that? I don't know, this might be too challenging, actually. You get the idea. So that's the communication piece, trying to help them. And then the final one is, how do you link the evidence to the concept? So once you get them to observe something, then you just ask a follow-up question that challenges them to link that observation to a broader concept. So let's say that what you have in the video is an example of erosion. You give them some background information. Roots of shrubs can stabilize soils. Where are the shrubs located in this marsh? That's an observation, right? Where are they? They're going to observe where the shrubs are. But then your follow-up question, what effects might the mite shrubs have on the marsh during a rainstorm? So now you're asking them to link to this concept of erosion and soil stabilization of plants. So you see there's like a direct line. Background information, then observation help, and then linking to the concept. Or here's another example. You're trying to focus on adaptation. Body shape affects the ability of fish to swim. You give them that concept. Oh, that's why I might want to record changes in body shape. Which fish do you think might be the fastest? Why don't all fish have fast body types? So now you're getting at niches and adaptation and selection, all that.